What's going on, guys? Back for another Power Hour stream. Today I actually did not really look at the market at all. I had to run a lot of errands today. This is basically the first time I'm getting a look at SPY. So we're gonna basically just do a replay, what we usually do. I'm gonna show off kind of how you could have traded today. But I did not live call anything today because I was very busy. Did not live trade today. So basically getting a fresh look. We're going to start with the replay function. Go back to the start of the day. Hey, what's going on, Josh? We're going to let it run until 10:30, about when I typically start trading. Keep an eye on it here. It looks like just immediately it sees a pretty big gap up. Gets a gap up about 0.5%, pretty standard. Been seeing like 0.5%, 1% gaps for the past couple of weeks. Nothing too important there. Hey Josh, you said consistency is key. No trades for me either. Yeah, I didn't trade today. Too busy. Had to run a lot of errands. I left my house. Got some stuff done. Alright, so here's 10 o'clock. So here's where I would have started looking at it. And looking at the current price action, there really isn't much to go off of. Do I have... Yeah, I've got VWAP on. Let me remove the drawings, make sure we're clean here. I probably would have paid attention to yesterday's levels. Let me just grab a couple of these levels. So like the gap right here actually becomes the low of the day. I would have also probably looked at the value area low here. And then we had yesterday's POC. But I'd probably keep an eye on these levels here, since there is not a lot to go off of on the volume profile currently. Another thing you could watch for is the small gap right here. And you also have a point of origin right here. So basically, throw all these levels together. You have a little bit of resistance up here, and then you have a little bit of resistance down here. Everything in between kind of just ranging. Let's go ahead and let it play. Here's your first test of VWAP. Still no real tradable signals here. You probably just be watching the market until you get some tradable signals. The value area high now is lining up with the POC of yesterday. So right on that red line there. So here is your first slightly tradable signal, but I probably would not have taken it because there's just not a whole lot of confirmation here. But you did see a little bit of a failure off the VWAP here, but you're immediately finding support on the POC. One of the reasons why I probably would not have traded this is because the POC was directly below where you would have shorted. So you basically would have shorted directly into support. Okay, so you could have shorted that maybe for a small scalp, but probably not the best trade. If you did take that trade, you probably could have taken a little bit of profit down here. That's about 7 points. So you probably could have definitely scalped that. But once again, not a very, very strong signal there. Still just ranging right on the POC, creating that B-shape volume profile where you have all the volume towards the low, very little volume towards the high. This gives you that bearish kind of bear flag where you see that impulse down and then bear flag. Basically just a very standard accumulation here. Buy the lows, sell the highs. You got to be careful buying the lows though, because you are in a bearish setup. Hey Moneybag, what's going on, man? Okay, so here is your first tradable signal, but like I said, because you are in a bear flag, because you are in that B shape, you want to be careful buying the lows here. So if you want to take that trade, probably size down, take a lighter trade, or wait for a little bit more confirmation. But this is where you would have entered. You would have entered on the low test here of the value area low towards that point of origin. Let's see if it pays off. Okay, so immediately it does pay off. So if you took that buy there, it would have been a good buy. You would have bought the value area low or the POC, or sorry, the point of origin test, and then you're targeting the POC and VWAP. You can also target the value area high, like we see right here, but that's going to be a little riskier. You still have this gap right here as well. Keep an eye on. So your targets were hit. There's the value area high. So if you're in this long here, if you bought the value area low, you would have fully closed here. You also could look to short these levels as well. If you're looking to short these levels, the value area high or the gap or an extension of that value area high, you could look to short these levels, and then same exact thing, you would just target VWAP, target the POC, target the value area low. So this is where it's going to start to scare you. If you took this short on the extension of the value area high, you're starting to bounce off the value area high as support. If you start to bounce off the value area high as support, it's kind of flipping into a more bullish day, right? So if you took that short, you're probably going to want to look to close break even or tighten your stop loss. Yeah, so like once it approaches VWAP here, you want to see it test VWAP, right? So if it doesn't test VWAP and you start to bounce like that, it's getting pretty dangerous to stay in a short. You can see how you're finding acceptance kind of outside that value area high. You are maintaining resistance below that point of control of yesterday, which is good. But this is starting to get a little scary for a short. Okay, so there's your target. So if you didn't close break even, you would have closed here. You would have closed on VWAP and you would have closed on the POC. One good sign that would have kept you in this trade, even though it was a couple of good signs. So, like I said, you're still finding resistance on the POC here. That's one good sign. Another good sign is the Momo is failing. Besides that, this is a very dangerous trade because you're finding acceptance above that value area high. But one good thing here, let me actually bring this back a little bit. Watch the value area high here. The value area high is acting as support, but keep an eye on it here. You see how it's shifting? And now you're shifting higher. And now you're kind of failing the value area high. That's another good sign that you're going to fail downward. Besides that, though, if you find acceptance above the value area high, that's bad news. You see this? You see how the value area high keeps shifting higher? And there's your failure. So if you would have closed the break even, that's okay. You would have missed out on your take profit there, but I understand why you would have closed, because that is a little risky trade. But if you would have held on to it, you would have closed here. You would have closed on the VWAP and the POC. You could hold for the value area low, but not a whole position. You would have definitely taken some profit. Let's keep an eye on our value area low. Make sure it's in the same spot. You're getting very close to it. Okay, you're retesting POC here. Retesting VWAP. You're coming in at lunchtime here, so you would not be taking any new trades. Could look to close your old trades, though. Okay, watch the value area low here. You're still not hitting it. Basically just a range day here. Pretty balanced. Let me keep an eye on the value area high here. Becoming very balanced here. Notice how the POC and VWAP are the exact same. So when you're looking at a balanced day, I talk about this in my VWAP video. What's going on, Turnip? I talk about this in my VWAP video. I talk about this in my volume profile videos. When you have a balanced profile and you have that POC lining up perfectly with VWAP, that is very, very balanced. That is exactly what you want to see on a balanced day. Look at this. To the exact penny, basically, the POC and VWAP are lined up. That is because this is a near perfect balanced profile. So if you wanted to tighten up your value area high, value area low, you could take these trades when it starts to range like this, but it's not going to be a very high probability trade, right? The closer you are towards the value area high or the value area low, that's going to give you that high probability. Okay, so here is your test of the value area low. You're actually extending the value area low a little bit here. Okay, so if you still held on to any piece of this short here, you would be closing here. If you held on to any piece of this short, you would have closed at POC and VWAP, and then now you're closing completely. You could flip long if it starts to find support outside the value area low down here. That would be a decent trade, but once again, you are a slight bearish day, so you want to be careful buying the lows. See, this is why you want to be careful buying the lows. It's breaking right through the low of day into a new low of day. Yeah, see, right there. If you closed your short here, that's fine. I wouldn't beat yourself up about it because that's a proper trade. You shorted this, took profit, took profit. Now, obviously, if it starts to break down here, you're going to beat yourself up a little bit, but that's a really good trade. Let's keep going here. So now, funny enough, you have turned your B-shaped day into a balanced day. You see how that happens? You start out bearish, you range, become slightly balanced. That gives you that B shape. And now look at what you do. Now you break downward. This becomes a perfectly balanced day. You see how that works? So now the day is not a B shape. The day is a balanced day. So you could buy the lows here because you are outside the value area and you are extremely balanced. You could buy these lows. Extremely risky though, seeing how strong that impulse was downward. The way that I would buy the lows is with the Momo. I would watch for bull divs. I would watch for kind of bottom signals. That's the only way that I would buy the lows here. The only time I talk about this basically every day when we do the recap. The only trades that I look for when you're outside that value area are when you're finding divergence or tops and bottoms on the Momo. You do have a slight bull div here on the Momo, so you could have looked to buy that bottom. Beautiful signal on that little dragonfly there. Kind of hard to see, but you have a little dragonfly here. Make sure we have our value area low marked, our value area high, and then let's continue here. So you're starting to gain acceptance above this accumulation. So if you wanted to take a long here, you'd have to be very careful, but this accumulation kind of right here, you see where that volume is? That would be basically your line in the sand. So if you took a long down here, if it starts to break below that accumulation, you want to let go of your long, right? If you start to find acceptance below this accumulation, then you want to close that trade. Let's keep watching here. You're targeting that gap. So when you see balanced days like this, you typically have gaps kind of here and here. And if you start to break out to either side, these are areas of rejection. We talk about this a lot. Areas of rejection, if you want to maintain that bearish trend, you have to reject that near instantly, right? You do not want to regain that value area low like we see here. If it regains this value area low, then your bearish structure is broken. So far, so good. You're failing that gap. This is exactly what you want to see on a bearish day. If you are shorting this, is a failure to fill in that rejection, right? Now, I'm not sure what level was this. Was that the value area low of yesterday? No, that's that gap. Yeah, so there's the lower line. Yeah, so both these lines here, this is the value area low. That is the gap. These are major resistance levels now that we have flipped them. There's that failure yet again. Watch the Momo. You would not counter trade this unless the Momo is telling you there's a divergence. You have a bottom signal coming in on the Momo right there. Now we're pulling back a little bit. Make sure we pay attention to where this volume node is. We have a volume node right here. This is that kind of accumulation node. If we start to find value above that node, you'll probably regain the value area low. So pay attention to that. Let's keep an eye on it. Okay, so it's not able to regain that level so far. Oh, here it goes. It's trying. Nope, failed. You see how this is acting as resistance? That is that node of that accumulation. Right? So now we have a bigger node kind of below that. Let me grab that one. I know this is a little repetitive for you guys who watch my streams every day. I understand that. But like Josh said at the start of the stream, consistency is key. I know you guys, a large part of my viewership, you guys really love volume profile. You like to trade volume profile. I've been trading volume profile for a long time, so I just want to let you guys in on a lot of the tips and tricks and kind of how to trade it, right? So consistently doing this on a day-to-day basis, you guys will quickly capture kind of how to trade this. Okay, so once we start to find acceptance above this accumulation, you really want to pay attention to your value area low. Let me get rid of these old levels. These are yesterday's levels. Let's pay attention to today's levels. So since we're gaining acceptance here, watch this value area low. This is the value area low right here. I'll change the color so we can keep an eye on it. The value area high is way up here now. Yeah, you're gaining acceptance. Now you're starting to fail, but you're still accumulating here. I think we caught up. Are we caught up? Yeah, we're caught up now. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Oh, we weren't caught up. I'm not sure why it didn't show us the rest of that. But you see how you tried to find support right there? And then we lost it before the value area low. You can see that one little wick right there. When you come in and test the value area low, that's a good short. So if you're very bearish here and you wanted to short this, when you came up and retested this value area low, you could have shorted that. Look at this resistance here. So this is not only a value area low, it's a massive volume node. So all of this accumulation is now resistance because you're above price, right? So the only way to break into this value area low is to gain acceptance on this node, right? You have this node right below the value area. So you have to gain acceptance on this node before you can break into the value area low. Okay, so now that we're caught up, the only things that you need to watch for are a bull div on the Momo or some kind of bottom warning. It is warning for a bottom currently. You are a little extended. You can see that purple warning. It is warning for a bottom. You don't have a bull div though, so there's really no tradable decision here. You can trade the bottom warnings. Like you've seen throughout the day, they did work pretty much every single time. You saw a bottom warning here. You saw one here. Saw one here. This one was a little extended. You saw one here that failed. And then you saw one here that failed. This one played out. And then now we have one currently. So of all the ones today, you had 2 failures. That one you could have probably scalped, so maybe 1 failure, but let's just say 2 failures. And then 1 extension here. That became a bull diff. Alright, let me catch up with chat now that we are up to speed. Moneybag said Robinhood glitched all day with open interest. Yeah, I don't use Robinhood anymore. I switched over to Webull. I haven't had any problems with Webull. Their platform is fantastic. Moneybag said Nvidia all-time high today. You also said, what do you think about shorting Beyond? Take a look. Nvidia all-time high, you say? Looks like Nvidia is selling off now. You have earnings coming up on the 21st, which is like in a week. Yeah, one thing to look at was FANG. FANG was hitting an all-time high. So people are calling for a recession and trying to short every single move on the SPY. FANG is hitting an all-time high, which are the biggest tech companies there are, basically. These companies make up a major portion of the Nasdaq. You said Beyond. Let's take a look. Yeah, Beyond. I think we talked about this last stream. You had a pivot coming in, but you broke out of that pivot. You're still showing a bear div forming. It's not confirmed. 4 hour, I believe, yeah, is a slight bear div. You also have a top extension. Yeah, massive bear div on the 1 hour. I think we mentioned all this last stream. You're still you're extending yourself into a bear div. Basically, this entire way up, it's just extending itself into a bear div. So it should fail at any moment. It doesn't have to, but it should. You also have that range low you're testing, which also lines up pretty much perfectly with that pivot. Look at where we're failing. Look at this pivot. You only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pivots on Beyond. You have a pivot right here, and then look at where we're failing. You basically caught the top of that to the penny. So yeah, I'd say you're looking pretty decent for a short. Retesting a massive resistance, retesting a pivot, bear divs on multiple time frames. I'd say the short is pretty good. You also had a bear div there, which failed that pivot beautifully. The VIX is up 5% today. That also looks pretty good for shorts. Carnival's down a little bit. One of the big cruise stocks I'm watching is Norwegian. Norwegian has earnings tomorrow, or I believe today. No, it's on Thursday, sorry. They have earnings on Thursday. If they sell off rapidly from earnings, I'm probably going to buy them. Very, very risky play, but I'm going to buy them probably on my main account and on my my stream account. Peloton all-time high. Peloton I called out very early in the day today. You guys could have traded that pretty easily. Yeah, I called this out around like 10:30. Oh no, this is today. Where's today? Yeah, I called this out around like 10:30 here. Had a pretty nice move up. 6%. Peloton was the only stock that I called out in the morning. Everything else I called out were penny stocks. I called out these penny stock movers here. Let's see how they're doing right now. Let me sign into Webull real fast. So OPNT has earnings today. So if any of you guys are trading OPNT that I called out in Discord, be very careful. They do have earnings today. One thing to note though was they've beat their last like 4 or 5 earnings. So very likely they will continue to beat. Their revenue for this year is exceptionally high. Where is the revenue? Oh yeah, right here. Their revenue from quarter 3 of 19, quarter 4 of 19 went down a little bit, but it's definitely doing quite well compared to their market cap. Where is their EPS? Yeah, EPS right here. They had very good earnings Q3 19, decent earnings on Q4. They did way better than expected on Q4. So keep an eye on that if you are holding that from Discord. Battle Gamer said how to find good penny stocks with volume. I made a video on that on the YouTube using Webull screeners. I just use Webull screeners and we catch a lot of these penny stocks. A lot of penny stocks are moving today. This is typically not a big scan, and it found 30 scans today. Only 16 of them were positive, so those are the ones we'd keep an eye on. We can go to the 1 million sweet spot as well. Yeah, there's a lot of movers today. This is actually interesting because the market is down today. So typically when the market is down... Holy shit, Veritone's at $7. We called out Veritone way back in the day, like months ago, at like $4. Sorry, what was I saying? Typically you don't see a lot of these penny stocks doing this well when the market's red, right? The market's red today, and these screeners are picking up a ton of movers. Big company movers here. We got DraftKings up 13%, Peloton up 10%, Livongo Health, a couple of banks, Beyond Meat's up 6.5%. Never heard of any of these other companies. DraftKings. Didn't DraftKings IPO recently? Oh no, they've been around for a while. I thought they IPO'd recently. They're doing exceptionally well. This is actually very interesting because there are no sports going on right now. If you guys don't know what DraftKings is, it's a gambling, a betting app, I would say, which is the same as gambling, but it's a sports betting app. You can bet on like sports, and you can do fantasy football and like fantasy sports, fantasy baseball. You can pick fights, whatnot on like UFC fights. You can, I think there's like League of Legends and stuff on there. So if you want to pick like gaming stuff as well, it's on there. But there's no sports going on right now. So seeing that they're pumping like this is quite interesting. It looks like George Soros bought a big stake. Wall Street firm. I'm not sure. I don't see any major announcements on why they're pumping like this. Probably the biggest announcement here is the George Soros 66 million stake. Oh, it did go public last month. Why does it show that it's been on here for so long? Maybe it's showing. Maybe Webull shows their private price. It's actually interesting. They are fairly new. They've only been around for a month. They hold 2.7 million shares. Says DraftKings has expanded its investor base beyond the sports world as it competes in a growing market for legal online wagering. I don't see anything too important here. Doing fantastic though, for sure. They say Netflix stock is doing good. Yeah, Netflix is a part of the FANG. FANG is at an all-time high. Netflix is doing all right. Damn near an all-time high, I believe. Yeah, they're right next to their all-time high. They hit their all-time high April 16th. They're currently testing it. Looks like a massive bear div though. Probably gonna come down. Looks like there's a massive bear div on the FANG as a whole, so a lot of these stocks are probably seeing a bear div. Facebook actually no div. Let's look at Apple. Apple no div. What's next? Amazon. No div, but a lot of distribution. What's next in FANG? We've got Netflix and Google. Netflix we already talked about, small div, and then Google. I always mess up Google's ticker. What is Google's ticker? GOGL. I mess it up every single time. Small bear div on Google as well. Google coming into a big pivot. So FANG is hitting an all-time high currently. You hit an all-time high today. But like 3 out of 5 of these companies are seeing bear divs. So the FANG should pull back here, which would bring the market down. They are a very large portion of the NASDAQ. SPY currently failing the point of origin here from the point back here in April 29th. Showing a lot of resistance. Which is basically exactly on the 618. You're going to see a lot of resistance here on the SPY. Now, this could become the top of this entire correction, or just a small pullback towards the trail, and then continue higher. We've been maintaining this trail since April 13th when it flipped. You broke the trail back here on April 6th, and then since then you've never even tested it. You've stayed above it since. So, doing a very good job. You saw that black to white flip on the OTS, and we've had buy pressure throughout the entire last month. Peloton very strong here. You can see the breakout on the CCI. Not sure what this is, but this looks really good as well. This is one to watch. This looks like it's actually lagging a little bit. IBN, I've never heard of them. They're a big bank company. They're up 8% today. Very nice bottom forming on the CCI. Very strong engulfing candle here. A lot of resistance into the mid 9s. You get above like 9.5, 9.6, this thing could go. Definitely looks like it's lagging. They just had earnings. That's probably why it's been lagging. They've been waiting for the earnings. Is that real, though, or is TradingView just bullshitting me? This TradingView is really bad with earnings. Let's take a look. They haven't provided the upcoming earnings report date. Does it have a date here? No dates. Here we go. Yeah, it seems like their earnings were good. Up 26% on net income. Rise in revenue, loan, and deposits. However, provisions surged owing to coronavirus-related concerns. It says their expenses went up, but their revenue went up as well. They also took on more debt. Their loans and deposits increase. Credit quality mixed bag. Yeah, so it doesn't seem that bad. It seems like they took on more debt, which is pretty standard on a lot of these companies that are taking a massive hit on the coronavirus. This looks pretty good, though. I'm gonna add this to our watch list. Same looks on this stock as well, this other bank stock. Lots of volume coming in here. Up 7%. Basically, if you get above this range high, you can see this range right here. You get above this range high, around 42.50, 43. Could look really good. I'd keep an eye on these bank stocks. They're lagging behind. But if the market continues upward, the financial sector will follow. The tech sector has been kind of driving this rise. A lot of the tech stocks are doing very well. The bank stocks, the real estate stocks, they're very risky here because we don't know if this kind of this bubble, if you will, is going to burst or if we're just going to continue upward and the bubble's not going to burst, right? So if we just keep continuing upward and there is no capitulation, the financial sector with the banks and the real estate sector with the REITs, they will start to follow the tech stocks, right? You're seeing a lot of delay, a lot of lagging on a lot of these real estate stocks. One of the big ones we went over recently was the RWT, I believe. DEI is another one. What is this company? I've never heard of them. Energy. Oh, it's an energy company. Natural gas. Yep. Those are extremely risky right now. Yeah, these are all energy companies. Except for this, I believe this is a cloud computing. Let me see. Yeah, web infrastructure, web security. But yeah, so one thing to keep an eye on, guys, is the tech stocks. You've kind of already missed the boat on those if the market does continue upward. Obviously, you've never really missed the boat on tech stocks if you're holding long term. They're all doing very well. But I mean for like this coronavirus, right? This fire sale, if you will. You've kind of missed the boat on those. The things that have not even gotten on the boat really are the real estate stocks, the bank stocks, a lot of the hospitality stocks like the hotels, the cruises, stuff like that. Those are still lagging behind because those don't know if the market is going to burst yet. Those are extremely risky, but if they work, they will pay off. Getting a lot of sell-off here towards the end of the day. You can see that white to black flip on the OTS, you lost the trail, flipped the trail red, and now we just have that black move all the way down. The Momo, massively bearish. Hey, Sneaky, what's going on? You said got some movement at the end of the day? Yeah, we do. Big sell-off. Hey, Don, you said keep an eye on MRAM. Is MRAM a, what is that? Is that a real estate? That's a tech company. Oh yeah, this thing's mooning. Yeah, you couldn't buy it here, though. This is a little ridiculous. This would be a massive FOMO move if you bought this. Especially since you're failing that pivot. This would be a gamble. Maybe the next pullback. Yeah, you're talking about shorting it. Yeah, I definitely would not long this, that's for sure. Top doji, really strong. Yeah, I like a short play. Definitely not a long play. Sneaky said must be dumping so we can pump in the market. Jerk off the PAL presser tomorrow. Oh, he has a presser tomorrow? What is he talking about? Is it a rates meeting? An FOMC meeting? Here's one of the real estate companies that I was keeping an eye on. This popped up on our scanner a while ago. This thing's lagging behind quite heavily. It's a low market cap stock, though. You got to be careful with this. The market cap is... Where do I have my market cap thing? Oh, right here. The market cap is 400 million, so very, very small here. If you're looking at trading real estate trusts, I would definitely look for the bigger ones. You could probably go to a screener here. Go to real estate. I'd probably look for 5 billion, maybe 3 billion. Probably say 5 billion plus. Cut out the EPS, you don't really need that. Dividend yield would be good though. Don't need 16%. I'd probably go for like 5 on the low end. That should be good. Yeah, look at these real estate, all red. Real estate are extremely risky. Don't let me lead you astray on that. They are extremely risky. Because nobody is buying houses right now, really, except for rich people. But when these do recover, they have a long way to go. You can see the little charts here on the dailies. Let me just save this. Let's look at these charts real fast. Oh, I gotta make a watch list. Let's go here. Create a watch list. Take a look at these dailies. They're pretty much all gonna look the same. This one's actually recovering. LAMR. Very strong accumulation on FRT. I like that. Pretty much the same on most of these. Yeah, look at these patterns. Nearly the exact same charts. That's all of them. I like this first one here, FRT. It's like right on the bottom of the accumulation. They had a negative earnings here. Dividend, they pay dollar dividend, not bad. Their dividend is 5.7%, pretty standard. Market cap 5.5 billion, pretty big. They've been around for a long time. basically an all-time low on their CCI. No, we had a lower point here back in 1990. This thing's been around forever. What is this? Let's see. Federal Realty Investment Trust is an equity real estate investment trust. REIT, yep. Company specializes in the ownership, management, blah, blah, blah. What are they based in? Selected metropolitan markets in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic regions of the United States, as well as California and South Florida. So they're in like the very big metropolitan areas, mainly the big cities. The company owns and has interest in community and neighborhood shopping centers, mixed-use properties. Company's tenants range from sole proprietors to national. Yeah, so they're pretty big. They've been around for a long time. 1984. Actually, a big company. I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Not a bad price either. 72. We'll keep our eye on that. Don said, yeah, short it and buy lower. Talking about the MRAM. He said it's a semiconductor silicone magnet tech stock. Gotcha. Is it a penny stock? Yeah, it's a penny stock. Market cap 100 million. $5.74. Anything below $7 is technically a penny stock. Look at these breakouts. Massive breakouts here. Starting to fail here. I would definitely watch for a retest of $5. Maybe a retest of this lower doji. Around $4.75. 200 EMA on the 15 minutes is around $4. 200 MA, excuse me. How's Uber look here? So Uber actually broke out of that range we were watching. We had these levels put on Uber here. Pretty weak breakout. It tried to break out here, but look at that. Failed instantly. Tried to break out again. Failed instantly. Not looking too good on Uber. Trying to break out on the daily. It's back above its 200. Pretty decent breakout on the CCI. It's not looking too good on the short term. If it can consolidate kind of above this 30 mark, it would look really good. But for the next couple of days, if Uber stays above 30, it's looking really good. But if it can't stay above 30, it's probably going to go back down towards like 25. I think he said thoughts on shorting Wings, Wingstop. Their PE is very high. I can take a look. Wings. They're not on... Is that their ticker, Wings? Oh, it's Wing, not Wings. Wing. Looks like it's rolling over a little bit on the daily. Look at this. Look at this rise here. Pretty healthy rise, but seeing a massive divergence. It's actually quite funny how steady that rise is. It's a 30% rise. And it's extremely healthy. More than 30%. When I say healthy, I mean like... Not so much healthy. Healthy's kind of a bad word because it is a divergence. But it's just a linear channel. There's just no pullback here. Just a complete linear channel all the way up. That's actually ridiculous. They just had earnings. Their earnings are decent, according to TradingView. Means absolutely nothing. How many days is this just rising like that? 35 days. And basically 45%. Exceptional. That's at an all-time high, too. I don't know, man. That's a hard bet. I think if you're shorting this, definitely a short-term short. Probably back towards the daily trail, back towards the pivot here. But long-term, this thing looks pretty solid. Yeah, I like this weekly level. This weekly around 100. And then you bring that back to the daily. It lines up kind of with that pivot there. So if this does have a deep retracement, I would pay attention to that kind of 100, to that 382, that 96. That'd be a really good buy. Probably around like 90 to 100. But yeah, longing here, very risky. You're longing an all-time high, obviously. And look at this move. This needs a correction. There's no correction here. So I'd wait for a correction. It's had no correction basically since the bottom. Yeah, that's 200% without a correction. There's not a single correction here. It's actually exceptional. This is probably one of the best coronavirus charts I've seen. I love Wingstop. There's a Wingstop right down the street from my house. I order them all the time. They have good, what are their wings that I get? The Cajun ones are good. Caribbean ones are good. They've got Cajun corn that's really good. Their fries are fantastic. The shit, based on their food alone, their stock's good, I guess. MoneyGram, we were talking about MoneyGram. Who was it? I think it was Digital. Digital called out MoneyGram a while ago. They're up 11% today. They almost broke $2, went to $1.92. I don't think Digital's here today, but pretty damn strong breakout. Let's keep an eye on SPY here. We're getting ready to close the day. Massive sell-off towards the end of the day. It was actually doing all right. It was doing all right for most of the day. Nice little range here. Broke out. Oh, sorry. Where'd the day start? The day started right here. You saw that kind of gap up, range, and then just failed downward. I guess on the indicators you were bearish all day. You were bearish all day. Saw that gap, put in a pivot, failed, sell signal, sell signal, sell, sell. You had a couple of bull traps here, broke the pivot. No signs of bullish strength here on the 5-minute. 5-minute was 100% bearish basically all day. 15-minute 100% bearish. The 1-minute is brutal. Absolutely brutal. How many points is it down today? We opened up. Let's go from the high to the low. From the high to the low. Oof. It's down 70 points today. It's not good. 70 points for anybody that trades futures. Where's my calculator? 70 times 50. $3,500. That is a $3,500 move from top to bottom. Pretty massive move. Nvidia's selling off hard. I'm sure it is. I'm sure most of the tech industry is selling off here. FANG, massive engulfing. If this is where the correction is topping, this would actually be a pretty strong sign here with the FANG seeing a massive sell-off. If the Fang gets back below the high here, this could be a correction for the SPY. Look at this engulfing here on the Fang. You went for an all-time high, and now you're engulfing off of it. Not a strong move. Not a strong move for the bulls, I mean. Not a good look. Yeah, Nvidia basically looks exactly like the Fang. You went for an all-time high, you're engulfing it. Daily candle looks nasty. It does, yeah. That I'm scared betting against Fang and Fed, all money hiding out in Fang. Yeah, there's a lot of money hiding out in tech stocks right now. You're not wrong. If you want to see the correlation, look at the SPY and then correlate it to the Fang, right? Or sorry, it's easier to do it this way. Go to the Fang chart, correlate it to the SPY. Doesn't look too good, right? You see that massive impulse when SPY and Fang are going together. Now we're seeing distribution on the SPY, distribution on the Fang. Fang's starting to come down. Like I said, if the Fang starts to sell off here with the SPY, it's going to be a pretty strong sell-off. Because tech stocks, like you said, have basically been the safe haven so far. What happens when that safe haven is no longer safe? Well, this is probably what's selling it off. Well, I've seen a couple of these today, but this is the big one. Los Angeles County stay-at-home orders extended for the next 3 months. Not 3 weeks, 3 months. That came out about an hour ago. Los Angeles County stay-at-home orders extended for 3 months. Also, Virginia, the state that I live in, our governor, we were supposed to be going back to normal. Our stay-at-home was basically ending. And then he just released word that we're pushing our stay-at-home for most companies out to May 29th or something like that, towards the end of the month. So it seems like a lot of these states in America were slowly starting to reopen. They were letting their stay-at-home orders expire and kind of going back to normal, and now they're taking it back already. Massive sell-off here towards the end of the day. A bad look. That's a bad look for the SPY. Hey, Hockey said major sell-off with no news to provoke it either. No, a lot of this is coming from what I was talking about. A lot of the states are, they're not ready to open. Trump and a lot of states are trying to reopen, but a lot of other states are not. So I think a lot of this sell-off is coming from that. Sneaky said, when all safety is lost in the world, the world will buy Bitcoin. Yeah, right. Sneaky said, rich states and cities that can afford the drop in tax revenues can put public health before economic needs. Yeah, but people, it's going to get to a point where this cannot go any longer. Like I told you guys, I told you guys like a month or two ago that if this went past like May, people were going to start rioting. And we're already starting to see that. We're not seeing riots, but we're seeing protests, right? We're already seeing very large protests in a lot of the cities in America. People are tired of it. It's getting to a point where the risk of people getting coronavirus is lower than the risk of an economical collapse, right? And like, look at just like, I don't typically listen to the UN or the World Health Organization. Like, a lot of those organizations are full of shit and they're paid off by these nations. But the United Nations put out a report not even a couple of weeks ago that said a lot of these third world countries are just kind of these countries that are not prepared for stuff like this. A lot of the countries over in Asia and Africa, if the economy of the world does not get back together and we don't go back to normal, 130 million people are going to starve to death if the supply chains of the world do not get their shit together. The sad fact about the modern world is the modern world, with the economy that we have, we allow people to live in places that are not sustainable, right? They cannot sustain themselves. They cannot sustain their own populations, right? They rely on other nations or other countries or other places to sustain them, right? That is one of the downsides to the modern world. The modern world must continue to go on as we do, to make sure that these places that we've allowed to live, to continue to live. So I'm a little mixed on the whole opening the country back up and not opening the country back up. I feel like it just has to be done. I feel like the country has to get back to normal. The death rate of the coronavirus is very low. A lot of hospitals are basically empty, except for hotspots, right? There's hotspots where the cities are still, the hospitals are still treating a lot of people, but the states that are on complete lockdown that have basically no coronavirus or very little coronavirus, their hospitals are damn near empty, right? So it's very hard to say when there are hospitals filing for bankruptcy because they have no money coming in. They have no assistance from the government to continue to run. They have no patience. It's hard to say that they should stay closed, right? Those cities should stay closed. I also have a strong opinion about the whole mask thing and the gloves thing. Forcing people to wear masks and gloves when the majority of them are not even doing them properly or wearing the proper mask or wearing the proper gloves. For example, I don't want to get too political on stream, but for example, one of the stupidest things that I've seen is when I was out with my girlfriend, we were shopping for groceries. We were at Target, and there was this lady in the produce section with gloves on, right, with a mask on. And she's touching everything. She's touching everything. Touching her face, touching her cart, touching her food, touching the produce, like the apples or the bananas, whatever. Touching her food, right, with her gloves on. I just don't understand that shit. It's unbelievable to me. Because people will touch everything with their gloves, and they think because they have gloves on, they're safe. And the same thing with the mask. The mask, you wear the same mask every single day, when, let alone, these masks that you guys see people wearing, they do not help against the coronavirus. It's like a social thing, right? It makes you feel better because you're like, oh, they've got mask on, I've got a mask on, I feel better. It does not help you. Unless you are wearing a proper, like N95, a filterized mask, it does not help you. At all, basically. It's even worse than it is better. Because like some of the health officials said back in the day before they got destroyed by social media and they got canceled by social media, a lot of the health officials, if you guys probably remember this. What were the health officials saying like a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago? They were telling you the mask will not help. And they were saying that the masks were actually bad because it makes people constantly touch their faces. They're constantly touching their faces and rearranging their mask and just touching themselves, right? And it makes it harder to breathe. It limits the fresh air. The only time wearing a mask is good is if you're actually sick, right? The masks are good if you are sick and you're trying to prevent yourself from getting other people sick. Hey, Digital, what's going on, man? I mentioned you earlier, man. We were looking at MoneyGram. MoneyGram's doing really well today, up like 14%. Nikki said, Deja, have you seen the Trader documentary about Paul Tudor Jones? It reminded me of like you and Sticky. No, I have not. Yeah, Digital, I didn't trade at all today. I had to run a lot of errands today, so basically I sat at my stream, or I sat at my computer for the stream, and that was the first time I looked at the charts for today. Hockey said all they said was to wash your hands and not touch your face for the first month. Yeah, so for the first month they said wash your hands, don't touch your face. Then it went on to people were saying like, oh, should we wear a mask? And they were like, no, you shouldn't wear a mask because it doesn't help. And then a month after that, they got destroyed by the media saying like, oh, why are you telling people not to wear a mask? And then they were like, oh, I'm sorry, wear a mask. It's like, dude, come on, holy shit. Making health officials constantly change their rhetoric because how the population, how the public is taking what they're saying, right? If the public doesn't like what the health officials say, they say something else. Fucking ridiculous, man. I don't mind people wearing masks. I don't mind people wearing gloves. I think it's a good idea for the most part if you're doing it correctly and you're not constantly touching your face with your dirty ass gloves trying to rearrange your mask. It's more of a social thing, like I said. If somebody has coronavirus near you and you're wearing a shitty mask and you come in contact with them, you are still going to get sick. That mask is not going to prevent you from getting sick. But I'm not a health official. I'm not well studied in fucking viruses, so like, don't obviously take what I say with a grain of salt. This is all personal opinion. Digital said MGI did really well today. Yeah, it did. He said I sold some Kala today at $12. He also said still am holding a ton. Just got my principal out with some profit. Hey, that's great, man. That's a good way to trade. Take your money off the table, let the rest run. I also see a lot of people wearing masks when they're in cars, dude. It's like they're covering their mouth up in their car. All they're doing is preventing themselves from breathing properly, right? I don't know, man. I'm skeptical. How did Kala do today? Did pretty good. Kind of like a double top coming in, though. A little bit of an ascending triangle. Oh, that's funny. Funny you mentioned that, Digital. He said, I saw somebody run with a mask on, and I was like, how the fuck can you do that? Yeah. I was driving to my my girlfriend's house like last week, and I saw a guy running on the sidewalk with nobody near him. The entire sidewalk clear, not a person in sight. And he's got a mask on. Like, you guys are crazy, man. Like, what, do you think the trees are gonna give you coronavirus? Like, they think it's fucking airborne for miles, right? They think if somebody has coronavirus that lives in your city, it's fucking airborne, and you need to wear a mask in every single place you go. It's crazy, dude. Yeah, like Don said, most people hang their nose. They hang their nose out. Yeah. I was even reading earlier that even if you're wearing a proper mask, that it can still infect you from your eyes and your skin on your face, like your pores on your face. I don't know how accurate that is. I was reading it earlier. I had to cut it. I was reading it before stream, so I didn't read too much into it. But yeah, I was reading that from just the pores in your face and your eyes, it can still infect you. Basically, my point is it's such a contagious virus that the whole like wear a slight little cloth mask thing, it's just a social thing. It makes people feel better. It does absolutely nothing. It just makes people feel better, which is okay. If you want to feel better, sure. And another thing is, even if you're wearing a proper mask like an N95 that has a filter, right? They only last, I think what was it, like, some of you guys probably know, it's like 70 hours or something, or maybe even less than that. It's only like a couple of days, and then their filter's dead. And people don't know that. They'll wear a mask with a bad filter, and all they're doing is they just can't breathe. They're hurting their lungs for no reason. Before you know it, people are going to put masks on their dogs. I'm sure they already do, dude. I'm sure they already do. Sneaky said, well, it's from the 5G towers, man. Dude was smart, probably running by them. Yeah. That's actually funny. Yeah. You're not wrong, dude. I haven't read into that 5G tower bullshit. It sounds like a ridiculous conspiracy theory to me, but every conspiracy, even how ridiculous it is, it always has some merit, right? I also think that people now, the market is closed, guys. If you're coming in now, this is like after hours talk. We're just talking. So if you're new to my stream, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I don't ramble on political bullshit all the time. I just figured I'll hang out with you guys for a little bit longer today. The market's closed, so we're just chatting. But typically, if you come to my stream during market hours, it's very professional. I talk about trading. I stick to trading. Just giving you a small disclaimer. But back to the bullshit. I think the word conspiracy, like conspiracy theory, ever since like 9/11, when people made the conspiracy theory about 9/11, which is I'm not going to get into because that's a very, very polarized topic. But I was a massive conspiracy guy in high school and like middle school. I read basically everything. New World Order, fucking Flat Earth, 9/11, the Bilderberg Group, the Rothschilds. Like you name it, I've probably read it, right? But I think like after 9/11, people use the term conspiracy theory for everything that was not mainstream, right? If you had any opinion on something that was not like a mainstream opinion, it was a conspiracy theory. But I think the word conspiracy theory is just completely thrown around nowadays when things that are fully legit, like stuff like what are some things? Like, trying to think of examples that are not extremely political. But like if you tell people that the government back in the day used to smuggle drugs, right? They'd be like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. No, that's not a conspiracy theory. Like there's declassified files that say exactly what the government does, right? Every now and then they'll release declassified files, right? And you can find out what the government's doing. And a lot of those things were conspiracy theories before those files were declassified. That's a great example. I feel like anything nowadays that people don't agree with, conspiracy theory. Ridiculous. Oh, let's watch OP&T because they have earnings right now. Sorry guys, I'm going completely off the rocker today. I don't know if they reported their earnings yet. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I haven't really read into that 5G shit, so I have no idea what kind of backing that has. One thing that is not a conspiracy theory that people are definitely trying to say is a conspiracy theory are all these doctors around the world that are studying coronavirus that are getting very close to breakthroughs and they're dying. Suicide, shot to death, jumped off a building. Like, are you fucking kidding me? We had one in Philadelphia here in America like a week ago. There's been multiple in China. There's been multiple in Russia. Like, that shit's not a conspiracy theory. Turnip said the 5G stuff is complete trite. What is trite? Digital said there are some experts who actually do believe the 5G might be involved in this. I lost the word. But I completely believe that the 5G towers are definitely, they have some effect on people, right? The radio waves and whatnot, what their emissions. Obviously they're not like gas emissions, you guys know what I mean. Like whatever shit comes out of those towers obviously has some effect on the human body, but is it causing coronavirus? That's a different story. Oof, OP&T missed revenue and missed sales. That sucks. We're going to take a little bit of hit on OP&T. I held through earnings. They beat their past like 4 earnings. But that's why earnings is a gamble. I'm holding OP&T long term, so not a big deal on that. I could have sold my stream shares though. It says let's see. They reported losses of 0.4, which is 40 cents per share, when they were estimated to see losses of 0.18. Reported quarterly sales of 4.3 million, missed the analyst estimate of 4.8 million. They missed by 11%. They're probably gonna get destroyed tomorrow. Probably gonna go back down to like $10 or so. Yeah, they're already at 11 here. No worries, I'll buy the dip. But alright guys, before I get completely off the fucking rocker and lose all my subs, I'm gonna call it a stream. Let me catch up with chat here. Turnip said it's complete rubbish. Digital said, or Sneaky said, when you have 16 different vaccines in development, there's a lot of interest to have your pony be the winner. Just saying, definitely. Sneaky said multi-billion-dollar research cycles. Digital said apparently 5G does something to oxygen levels similar to what COVID does. The study came out on the Houston Commission when 5G was being pushed for testing in that city. Turnip said, no, it's similar to people back in the day trying to take down radio towers. Digital said many doctors that were on record warning against it. Oh, that's it. All right. Yeah, guys. Appreciate you guys all being here. I'm gonna end the stream on that. And we went off the trading topic a little bit today, but that's pretty standard. You guys know. I'll be streaming tomorrow. Probably gonna do a morning stream tomorrow. Not sure. I'll let you guys know. If I do a morning stream, probably around 10:30. We might have another morning stream tomorrow. If I do, I'll let you guys know on Twitter. Besides that, that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate you guys being here as always. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit that video, hit that like on the video. Make sure to subscribe if you guys are from YouTube, or follow if you're from Twitch. I'll see you guys tomorrow, most likely in the morning around 10:30. If not, I'll see you guys around 3 p.m. Eastern for our normal stream tomorrow. But all right, guys, you guys have a good night. Stay safe.